I would say that's one of my biggest cons about being overseas. And I think that's kind of what makes being overseas a bit dangerous is the fact that if something does happen to you, the legal system doesn't have your back out there. They don't give a fuck about you. You're a tourist.
Regardless of what the means were that led to his end, I don't think that any traveler travels for that vacation to be their last,
Yes.
right? I don't think that his mom had in her mind that my son is going to Colombia and I'll never see him again. But no matter the case, when you're facing medical or criminal emergencies, there is nobody who's there for us as international travelers. The travel data has been really telling. So what we learned is that if you're a traveler, you're 70% more likely to be a victim of a crime than a local. 70%.
Wow.
And then nearly half of us are experiencing either a medical or criminal emergency. And then 75% of us self-report that we're underprepared to visit the country we're going to, meaning we don't know anything about the culture. We know nothing about the language. We know nothing about any of their emergency systems. So it all fits into the mindset of what vacation culture is. And what it leads us into is a situation where it's either by luck or by the grace of God that nothing is taking place. When that kind of stuff is happening, who does a traveler call? Nobody.
Hey, Jaime Woods, we here to travel and motivate. No curry, we just trying to keep our minds in a golden state. We answer to nobody but the Lord, we control our fate. Too many things to see just to sit in a hole and bake. We growing, ayy.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Jaime Woods back at it with another fire interview, guys. I'm bringing him all year round, 2026 and on, guys. It's about to get popping up in this YouTube channel. You guys already know what it is. And, you know, I had Zuri up in here, Passport Graffiti. I had, who else? BX was up in here. I'm forgetting all the interviews I've done. That's how many interviews I've done, man. But we just gonna keep it going today, man. It's about to be another fire one. But guys, make sure to support me and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell so that way you guys know when your boy's dropping the video. And also, guys, check out the Patreon, all right? We're Patreon is starting to grow. Check it out. It's in the description. Your boy got some exclusive content that I cannot post here on YouTube. But anyways, enough about me, because this isn't about me. This is about my special guest over here. This gentleman, I met him on Instagram one day, and I was like, man, this guy's cool as hell, man. Like, he travels, he's doing his thing, he got a business. All right, man, I see what you're doing. So I was like, bro, this is a great guest to bring on into, of course, the YouTube channel. And guys, listen, that's the beauty of social media, is that sometimes when you're least expecting it, awesome people just come your way and you get to network and collab. So guys, listen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you guys Cris. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, bro? How are you?
I'm all right, man. How about yourself, man? How's everything over there? You in Medellin?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm here in Medellin. I think it's, like 75 degrees. It's never cold. I'm from a cold state, Kansas. So I think right now they're expecting fall. Trees are changing colors, but here in Medellin, it's the city of eternal spring. So, I mean, it's always green. It's always sunny. Weather is perfect. And I'm enjoying being here.
All right, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm Cris. I'm from Kansas. I like to tell people that I'm from Kansas because being from Kansas is kind of like a culture shock. Because most people that I meet out and about when I'm traveling around the world never meet anybody from Kansas. So I'm like, hey, I'm Cris. I'm from Kansas. So that's kind of like my little moniker. I'm a University of Kansas graduate, a proud Jayhawk. I graduated in 2010. Thank you. And yeah, man, I'm out here in the world starting my new company.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your company, my friend. What's your company about? What made you want to start your business?
Well, I think the appropriate way to get into the company is to talk about the purpose. So I'm a Simon Sinek person. I like to start with the why. So I've been solo traveling for about 4 years since 2021. Last fall, when I was back home in Kansas, actually, I read this article. This article was about a solo traveler. He was the only child in a single parent household. So it was just he and his mother. And he and his mother, they talked every day, as you would imagine. Well, this particular solo traveler, he was embarking on another adventure. He was coming here to Colombia. He was going to like Peru. He was going to Portugal and then France a little bit and then coming back home. So, you know, he departed, said his goodbyes to his mother and started on his trip. So literally the first day of his trip, everything was fine. Everything was normal. He and his mother close. They shared the jokes, the laughs, the memes. Second day, everything completely fine. Third day, midday, he sent his mom a message that seemed a little weird to her. And then after that, nothing. So remember, he's in Colombia. And, you know, my mother is not Hispanic. She does not speak Spanish, nor did his. So she didn't know anything about the country. She knew nothing about where he was. Well, she kind of knew around and about because she monitored his location. So she knew where he was, but she didn't know anything about the country. She couldn't speak the language. She knew nothing about the area. And his poor mom, she had to wait 48 hours to get somebody to go and check on her son.
Wow.
When she finally had somebody go check on her son, the person entered his stay and found him deceased in his bathroom. So from there, they start this investigation. The police are involved. The coroner is involved. All of these red-taped individuals here in this country were involved, but because his mother doesn't speak Spanish and there's a language barrier, there's little to no information that's passed to her. So she has to wait 2 weeks to come here. And when she comes here, she sees that they have closed the investigation, ruled a cause of death, and then there's no more questions or anything else to look into. And she's left pondering with all these questions. So 2 months, so like after he passed away, I think it took like 3 weeks from the day that he died to get the body back. 2 months later, his luggage finally arrived. And in his luggage, they found women paraphernalia. So like lingerie, lipstick, I think there were some high heels in there. And these are questions that his mother was asking, but never got around to getting to the investigators. So she didn't know like who this person was. Did she have something to do with her son's death? And is there anything more that she can learn? But I mean, you know, you traveled around the world how I have. You know that when you come into these countries, it's done. You know, we're going to get the process going. And once we determine it, that's what it is. And there's no more to do. So I read this story and I really don't know what like spurred me to think this thought, but it was, what can I do to save this kid's life? So, you know, I'm a consultant by trade, and maybe it's that. I like to say that it's partially God, but what I said was, how can I save his life? And what I did was I created this company, Tap In. So like, just like the slang, tap in with me. Tap in, what we do is we meet you at the airport. And at the airport, you set 2 codes, a code that you use for the day and a good night code. Every few hours, we text you tap in. If you respond, we know you're good. If you don't respond to our message, we call you. And if you don't answer our call, we send the person to your location, no questions asked. So when I'm thinking about the idea, I'm like, okay, can I apply this method, this process to other travel incidences, and would it make a difference? Yes, it would. The 3 girls in Belize, if we're tapping in with them every hour at night, if there's a carbon monoxide, something that's going on, we can intervene. There's no waiting. The girl in the DR that went missing on a beach, if you're tapping in with this, you can't go missing for 14 hours because it took them that long to even report her missing. It's difficult to have these windows of, you know, miscommunication with this system. Currently, if you go missing, it takes around 48 hours to get somebody going and activating. So what we're doing is, instead of it being 48-hour window, we're shrinking that window to an hour to 3 tops.
That's awesome, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I love the inspiration behind what you're doing, bro, because I would say that's one of my biggest cons about being overseas. And I think that's kind of what makes being overseas a bit dangerous is the fact that if something does happen to you, the legal system doesn't have your back out there. They don't give a fuck about you. You're a tourist. And especially nowadays with how Americans are perceived in Colombia, you know, like, especially I'm assuming, an RP to the guy, I don't really know him, but I'm assuming what must have happened to him was he was probably was with the wrong type of women, probably repeat girls, whatever the case is. And he was probably under the impression it was just going to be a transactional thing, and you know he was going to have his fun. They're leaving, but in reality, she was probably there to drug and rob the guy. Unfortunately, I think that must have been what might have happened there.
And that's the thing, we just don't know, right? Because regardless of what the means were that led to his end, I don't think that any traveler travels for that vacation to be their last, right? I don't think that his mom had in her mind that my son is going to Colombia and I'll never see him again. Or I don't know, like maybe it was or wasn't. Like the cause of death, they ruled it as a blood clot. Maybe it was a blood clot. Maybe it was drugging. We don't know. But no matter the case, when you're facing medical or criminal emergencies, there is nobody who's there for us as international travelers. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an American thing. You could be a Spaniard and travel to Colombia, and it's the same thing because you don't know the system. Or you can be a Colombian traveling to America. You don't know their systems. You can be a Mexican traveling here. The same rule applies because you're just not at home. So for me, instead of it being like this speculatory thing where we're trying to figure out like what was it that he did to lead to his ends, it's like, hey, let's end the debate and let's put a system in place to where now there's some intervention for you, specifically for foreigners when they're on foreign soil, that can intervene and help you in matters when it counts the most.
I love that, man. I don't think I've ever heard anyone think of that from what I know. And I've talked to many people, many American business owners that have gone to Medellin, specifically gone all around the world. And not one of them, I think, has ever thought of that idea. And I just love what you're doing, brother. I love that business idea. I really do. And I think it's going to be ultra successful because I haven't heard too many people think of that. But nah, man, I love it. And I think, you know, this is why I'm so happy that we're doing this interview because I really want your business to really spread because I think this is something that every traveler needs. You know what I mean? Especially in a place like Colombia because, like I said, the legal system, these police, they don't care. What happened to that girl in the Dominican Republic when she was in the DR with her friend? First of all, her friends just abandoned her. They're like, okay, you're chilling with a guy that we don't know. All right, cool. Just chill with them. Go ahead. Go on the beach, whatever, at night, super late at night. Next, you know, the girl disappears. Nobody knows what happened to her. And it gets brushed under the rug because this is overseas. If it would have happened in America, it would have been a different story. However, when we travel overseas, we're kind of putting ourselves in danger because if something does happen to us, nobody's got our back. So the fact that business like yours exists is phenomenal.
I appreciate that because that's the thing. Even though she was with her group, how I think about it is I think about my mom, and my mom is a person who worries. So my mom doesn't care if I'm traveling with LeBron James. She wants somebody who's there who's caring for me. And in that scenario, there was a group of girls who I think there was a girl group in Mexico when one of the girls died, right? She's traveling with friends. The girl in the DR, she's traveling with friends. Like your friends and yourself, you all travel within the psychology of vacation culture. When you go on this trip, you're not thinking about anything going wrong. And you don't want to think about anything going wrong because that vacation is your means to escape from your everyday life. So, you know, you're thinking about how much beach time will I have? How many drinks I'm going to have? How long I'm going to dance? Like, you know, I'm going to dance all night. Like, you know, that's what you think when you go on these trips. You're not thinking about if something bad is going to happen, what am I going to do? Most people don't even know the emergency number to the country where they're traveling to. So like when I was building this company, I have to learn this stuff because I didn't know it either. So I learned like the emergency number in Colombia is 123. But then like, let's say I know the emergency number, but my Spanish is horrible. I cannot answer any of those questions. ¿Dónde estás? no sé, la esquina de parte, ¿qué parte de la
Nah,
ciudad?
man, you know
No
Spanish.
sé.
I hear you, bro.
No,
You know
I know,
something.
yeah, because I've been learning Spanish, but your average vacationer, they're not learning the language prior to. They're just coming to the place to enjoy it for the 3 or 4 days that you get. Because I mean, you know how it is. Like in America, we work, 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 we grind, grind, grind. So that vacation time is precious, is sacred. So you don't want to, bog your mind down with trying to learn a language or figure out an emergency number. You just want to go and enjoy. The issue is that you know, as we've been building this company, the travel data has been really telling. So what we learned is that if you're a traveler, you're 70% more likely to be a victim of a crime than a local. 70%.
Wow.
And then nearly half of us are experiencing either a medical or criminal emergency. And then 75% of us self-report that we're underprepared to visit the country we're going to, meaning we don't know anything about the culture. We know nothing about the language. We know nothing about any of their emergency systems. So it all fits into the mindset of what vacation culture is. And what it leads us into is a situation where it's either by luck or by the grace of God that nothing is taking place. So what I don't like is currently online, there's always like this debate, right? And it's like the place is safe and the place isn't safe, right? And you got a lot of influencers, you go there and it's good. And they're like in the favelas in Brazil. And it's like, oh, okay, it's cool here, guys. Come on. What if one of your followers goes to that place that you said it was safe? Now you got that camera on you, but they don't have one. And they go to the favela and something happens to them. You're not liable for that, but they're following what you're saying, right? So you have that side where it's like, oh, it's safe. But on the other side, you see the videos, like there's videos in Medellin where the guy is pulling up on a motorcycle, putting a gun to the taxi driver's car and robbing the whole car. There are stories about taxi drivers setting guys up on the way to the airport. So like, when you land, guys like to get that concierge taxi driver, right? What he's doing is he knows when you're leaving, right? And this is a taxi driver told me this. So what they do is, because you're scheduling with them that trip to that airport, on the way to the airport, he's like, Espera, I need gas. And he's pulling over at that gas station and his friends and his buddies, they're robbing you. ¿Qué pasó? No sé. What happened? Are you okay? Let's go to the airport. So when that kind of stuff is happening, who does a traveler call? Nobody. Like if it's not a headline, you just don't hear about it. The only headlines that you hear about is if a person gets kidnapped and killed, right? But what about everything in between? What about the rapes? What about the drug overdoses? The scopolamine thing here is pretty big. And those guys are not dying because the girls are intentionally, giving them too much. They're looking at him. They're like, he's 6'2", he's 250. Let me give him this. And you ODing. Who's there for you in those moments? Nobody. Except for now, it's us. And that's what we want to be. We want to be that company that supports you when you travel. And it's not necessarily about trying to be safe, right? It's about traveling smart. So, me, when I came to Medellin, when I came to Colombia, I was received by people who showed me this city, who made sure I was cool. They told me where I shouldn't go. They told me where I could go, right? And they helped ensure my safety as I was here. What we're doing is a micro, that's a microcosm of what we're doing. It's kind of like a buddy system almost. When you arrive to the city, we're receiving you like a friend. And that friend who knows that city, they're telling you, this is the part you can go to. This is the part that you should be careful about, right? But ultimately, if you need something, call me. That's what we are on a macro level. So ultimately, what we'll be doing here in the next couple of weeks is we'll be having our member services team out and about in the city. So that part about the local intervention is the thing that I probably pride myself on the most, apart from the check-in system. Because I think that local intervention matters a lot too. Because we're placed in areas where we know tourists will be, our response time is within 10 minutes if you're not responding to us. So all of that to say, currently, the current state of travel is you don't know who to believe. You don't know if it's safe or it's not safe. The influencers are saying it's safe. The videos are showing you otherwise, right? But instead of relying on who you should trust, we've created a system, a process that you can trust in and that won't fail you in your most vulnerable times as you travel.
That's awesome, man. That's all. I have a couple questions for you. Well, actually, I want to start it off by saying this because you were going over some stats, and I do believe those stats. However, I do think they're higher than that. They're a lot worse than what you said because there's a lot of people, man, that are not reporting what's going on with them out of embarrassment, especially as men. And I've even heard that women are getting robbed too, or not robbed, but mostly they're getting, you know what? I don't want to say the word, but that happens a lot in Colombia too, in Europe and all around the world, and that goes unreported as well. So the numbers you said are probably even worse. So the fact that a company like yours exists, which I think you're the only person I've heard of that's doing that, by the way, that's phenomenal, man. Because now someone can go to these countries with the peace of mind knowing that, hey, there's someone there for me. Something happens, I know who to call. You know what I mean? Every time I say that, I think about the Ghostbusters song. You know what I mean? Like,
who you gonna call?
You know what I mean? You gotta make like a meme of that or something. You gotta do like your own little theme song with your own little lyrics and stuff revolving around that. That's kind of cool. But I have a couple questions for you because out of curiosity, because I'm actually interested in those services one day, man. Whenever I go to Colombia, whatever. But so for example, let's just say if a person from Spain, Latin America is traveling to a country, they only speak Spanish. Do you have like people that work in your team that speak multiple languages that can assist?
Yep. So all of my team members, especially the member service team, they are bilingual. So, for the Americans who don't speak Spanish, they speak English. For, I don't know, like if you speak French and you come here, they can speak French to you. So, yeah, we have those people who can speak your native language and help you navigate some of these situations. We also are building relationships with each country's consulate so that, when there's an emergency, when the police report needs to be filed, number one, we file it for you. But number two, when that action is required, we then notify your embassy to let them know that a citizen of their country is experiencing an emergency. That embassy can escalate all of our activities and make sure that local authorities get involved on your behalf with us. So we do that kind of stuff as well.
Awesome. And what would be some of the countries that you guys are like stationed in that you guys handle?
So right now we're just in Medellin and we launched on October 1. But I'm an ambitious person. And we're registered currently in Mexico and in the EU. So our plan is to be able to cover Colombia, Mexico, and the entire EU by the summer of 2026. By the end of 2026, we want to cover all of the Caribbean and then make our way to the Middle East. And then by 2027, be Far East, Australia, and New Zealand. So our goal is to have, these teams set up in every single country. Because, even though I'm starting here in Colombia, the thing that we all share as travelers is the vulnerability of being a traveler, right? So, like, everybody lives in this thing about being where perception is reality, right? And everybody lives in their own perception. And you have to wonder whose perception is the dominant perception. When you're a traveler, yours is not the dominant perception. It's the locals who's the dominant perception. And then what's the perception that a local has of you? You come from a country with money because it costs to travel, right? So it's better for you to be drugged and robbed and me feed my family, right? Than for me to go try to rob somebody who lives here with me and we're under the same GDP umbrella. right? And that's the perception that makes us all vulnerable as travelers, no matter where we go. So, you think about Paris. Oh, and I learned this about Paris. They said that the streets of Paris are the most dangerous streets to walk at night in Europe. And I had no idea.
I think Paris is definitely up there, man, because Paris is one of the what's it called, like the kidnapping capitals of the world.
Yeah.
Taken. There's a reason why these movies focus on Paris, because they just randomly taking all these girls and they're sex trafficking them.
Mm-hmm. So even if it's Paris, and I lived in Paris, I had the privilege to live in Paris for about 3 or 4 months, and Paris is a whimsical city. So I just would never think that was true, but Paris could be dangerous. Madrid could be dangerous. Barcelona could be dangerous, especially with all the over-tourism stuff that's going on, and it's becoming heightened globally, right? It's not just about, people getting drugged in Colombia. It's like, as travelers, we're vulnerable no matter where we go, no matter where we're from. And that's why we're operating globally like that. And our goals are as ambitious as it is, because it's really a passion project, because I enjoy traveling. And I think there are some treasures that you get from traveling, right? But somebody needs to have your back when you're out here exploring the world, so you can get back to your family, because nobody wants that trip to be the last trip.
But you know what's crazy though, Chris, is I think this is all coming in a good time, because the thing is, you got the World Cup coming next year. You know what I mean? So it's going to be divided between 3 different countries. Mexico being one of them. And I know you said Mexico will be one of the places that your team will be stationed in. Another thing about Mexico, I don't know if you heard, I don't know how true this is. However, on TikTok, I saw yesterday that now the Mexican cartel are targeting American citizens. So anybody that's going there to Mexico, it don't matter if you're messing, because I know before the cartel was saying that we ain't going to mess with you unless you mess with us. But now, because of what's going on with, I don't know if I want to say his name because of YouTube and all that, the president of the United States and all that, because of what's going on politically in the United States, now they're targeting American citizens. So the fact that you got this business and everything going on, it's at a good time. You got the World Cup coming next year. So a lot more people are going to be traveling. So definitely a lot of people are in need of these services, man, because the thing is, like, I mean, we've seen it happen over and over, especially in the last year. What's been going on with the polyamine crisis? The rates are going up every month. There's more and more cases going on in Medellin, all around Colombia. We got what's going on, what happened in DR with that poor girl that she ended up disappearing. Nobody know what happened. Maybe if your business, and maybe if she was a client of your business, maybe it might have gone differently. You know what I mean?
I would like to think so. And again, with everything that's going on politically in our country, unfortunately, that has nothing to do with us. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we're like, that's not us, and we travel despite of that fact, because we're like, that's what he's doing. But me, I'm a nice American, law-abiding citizen. I want to come to your country, enjoy it, spend some money, relax, go home. So even though all that political stuff is taking place, that's really not discouraging a lot of our international travel that's taking place. So unfortunately, in the case of Mexico, and I've been to Mexico. I love Mexico. And I'm not talking about, like, I've been to Cancun and Tulum. I've been to those places, but I've been to Mexico, like, I went to Chichen Itza. I've been to Mexico, like, I went to Mexico City. I've been to the Temple of the Sun. I've been to their archaeological museum, which is the #2 archaeological museum in the world. I've been there. I saw that Mexico has a strong Chinese heritage, because, they have like a Chinatown, and the Chinese food is fire.
I didn't even know that, to be honest. No.
Bro, but I know all of this stuff because somebody made it safe for me to know it. And that's that deeper experience that I think you're looking for when you travel, right? So, like, I think that, there's this thing I'm kind of debating about. Commercial travel is travel, and then, this authentic experience, right? And I think that first, you got to understand, like, what is the byproduct of travel, okay? And I'm going to take you back. When I was like 11, okay, I had to write this essay to get into this program. But what I wrote about when I was 11 was me being a 70-year-old man and then looking back on my life. And then looking back on my life and saying, do I regret the time that I spent on this earth? And then I maximize it, right? And since that age, I always knew that life was about storytelling. So, like, you know how they say that life flashes before your eyes? That flash better be lit as fuck, is how I see it, right? But to make it lit, you need these incredible experiences that give you the memory that you don't forget. Memories are the byproduct of travel, and it's not the photo, right? A photo captures the memory, but the memory generates the emotion behind what you experience, okay? So now, when you travel, there's this thing like about commercial travel, right? And then authentic travel. To get you to the place, you need the commercial things. And I think that commercial things like 75, 80%. If you go to Mexico City, you need to go ride on the chalupas, right? You need to buy a mariachi band on the floating garden, right? You need to go to the Temple of the Sun. You need to go to the tomb of Pancho Villa, right? But then you also need to go wander the streets at night and find a small little mariachi bar. That's what I did. And listen to them play authentic mariachi music. You need to wander the Zocalo Square when it's empty. Look up, dance with your girl, or, you know, make jokes with your boys. You need to go to that, like, we went to this restaurant that had like a dude outside with an AK-47. You need to go to that restaurant and eat that taco, bro. So you can be like, bro, I've had the taco. Because none of these things do I have a photo of, but these memories, they resonate with me. And that's the treasure, and those are the byproducts of travel. So to do all this stuff, a lot of people are not doing it because they're not dumb, right? I did it because somebody made me feel safe. And you're right, you do need to feel safe, or somebody needs to have your back when you're doing that kind of stuff. And if not, you know, it's too risky and we're not going to do it.
Man, that was beautiful, man. I was about to shed a tear and shit. I'm like, damn, that boy's speaking facts. He's speaking wisdom right now, man. I'm about to run through a wall right now, man. Like, God damn. Shit, man. Are you sure you weren't like a motivational speaker or something, man?
No, my mom is a writer, so maybe it's that.
Because everything just was so poetic. It was just like, damn, man. Like, God damn, it's crazy, man. But nah, man, I really love what you got going on with the business, brother. I really do. And I would say the last question I would have towards your business would be, where can people find your business? Do you have a website or maybe social media, anything where they could book you?
Yeah, so you can book us. We are InGlobal-t5t. You can find us on Instagram. We're @tapin_travel. Y'all have to forgive me. You know, I'm a finance, ops, and management guy, so my social media is coming along slowly. But yeah, that's where you can find us. And we're currently available in Medellin. So if you want to come out to Medellin, you have any kind of concerns whatsoever, you can DM us. We have discounts going on right now. And then we always have a team that's ready and available to, you know, greet you at the airport and make sure that you're enjoying yourself here. And there's somebody here to have your back.